Before we start our topic, I would like to introduce our guests. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. My name's Rabab Jafri.
Okay, as I told you, we were talking about disobedience to parents, and what I wanted to say, I picked this topic because I've seen it going on a lot, and like it just happens everywhere. I see they start whining, getting mad, and start yelling. And do you have anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, it's really easy for children. Sometimes things get out of hand, and they can't control themselves, and so they end up disobeying their parents, whether they're annoyed. Like nowadays, what usually happens is that children are annoyed by their parents constantly pushing them to do certain things, and so this is a very important topic to focus on.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be reading from the book of Greater Sins, and it is from Ayatollah Dastalab Shirazi, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start introducing the topic, so let's begin. Those who are disobedient to their parents. The sixth greater sin is to be disobedience to one's parents. As expressly mentioned in the traditions from the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the pure Imams alayhi salam, these have already been quoted in the first chapter. A tradition of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that in the first chapter, it says that the greater sins are shirk and to be disobedience to one's parents. The seriousness of disobedience to parents as a greater sin can be gauged from the fact that the Holy Prophet ﷺ has mentioned it along from the fact that along with shirk, which is a greater sin of all greater sins and unforgivable. Up is a sin, the punishment of which is promised in the Quran and the traditions. The words of Hazrat Isa as quoted by the Quran are, "And dutiful to my mother, and he has not made me insolent, unblessed." As Hazrat Isa did not have a father, his mother is alone mentioned in the same surah. Both the father and mother of Hazrat Yahya are mentioned. And I have a question for the viewers, how do you treat your parents and how should we treat our parents? And that question will be hard to answer live because we all know that we aren't the best treating people at all times. And would you like to read something or say something?
Yeah, I wanted to discuss about something that the word in Arabic for disobedience of the parents. It's called aqe walidain, and this is something we should really avoid, and it's the sixth greater sin or gunahane kabira. And because of disobedience to parents, a person can gain three characteristics. One is jabbar, second is shaqi, and the third is asi. Jabbar means insolent, and that's for example, a person who has the character of Jabbar would be someone who just wants everything. They're very selfish. Shaqi means unblessed, and an example of that would be after listening to a religious speech, someone is not affected by it at all. And Asi means disobedient, and basically that's when a person constantly does many sins. So if a person is disobedient to his parents, imagine a person falls under these three characteristics, which are very negative for our religion.
Yeah, and whenever we do it at the store or somewhere like that, then that just gives people a bad feeling that these people say that they do this, but they don't, and it's just spreading the wrong message. Because Islam teaches us to obey our parents, and that's not what obeying our parents is. So, disobedience to parents is when you get annoyed by them because it creates like this thought in your head, like, why do I have to listen to them? Why are parents always in charge of me? And that thought just like takes your mind over and just makes you disobedient to them. And that's the fact where like a lot of guna starts, and that's where you get more guna instead of sawab. So let's start reading with a page of greater sins. And when is disobedience to parents wajib? And I request Sister Bob if she can read this one.
So the orders and restraints of the parents are of no significance with respect to the wajib acts and the divine prohibitions. For example, if the parents order the child to drink wine or restrain him from the obligatory prayers and fasts, they should not be obeyed. It is expressly mentioned in this verse of Surah Luqman. And if they contend with you that you should associate them with me, what you have no knowledge of, do not obey them. So the traditions also support this ayat. No obedience of a creature in contravention to the divine command. So apart from these circumstances, obedience to parents is obligatory with regards to the makruh and mubah acts. The same applies to wajib-e-kifai. So from this reading, we can see basically that there's an exception to when you don't obey your parents, and that's only if they tell you to do something that's against what God says. Like if your parents, like God forbid, say don't do namaz anymore, so you don't have to listen to them because that's against the religion of Islam. So
yeah, and last night before I went to sleep, we were watching these emotional movies, and kids had been like telling their parents' stories, and there was one where these two kids, they were orphans because their mom had died, and there was one kid who was the mom's daughter, but then there was this other kid who was his friend, and they were like really close together, like brothers. And what happened was that whose mom it was, he missed his mom, so they went together and they went to go visit their mom, and they were just kids, so they didn't have that much money and stuff, and they lived in an orphanage place. And so when they went, they couldn't go to the train, and the tickets were sold out, and the other one, there's only one ticket left, but they didn't do it because they wanted to go together. So then there was this man who said he was going to the country that they didn't go to. And at first I thought that they were visiting their mom and stuff, but then whenever they got to that place, then I found out that his mom she passed away, and he went to go visit her grave. And the kid said to his friend that my mom is your mom too, and it was something that like they don't have parents, and you guys just treat them like they're not, like, I'm not saying everyone, but like we treat them as if like they're not that important and we don't need them. But those kids didn't have parents, so like they were sad, and they said that like it's like sad to not have one. And right now some people are really mad at their parents that they wish they didn't have any. And so do you have anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, so this basically just shows us that like we're really lucky to have parents, because like not like the parents is like a gift for us, because some people are unfortunate, like even now, like other than movies, like around the world, around the globe, there are people who don't have parents and they wish they had parents, and if like when eventually our parents have to go, and so when they leave we're gonna regret it because we should have, and they can't forgive us because they've left the world. So we should try our best to obey our parents.
Yes, because like when they leave, then you'll always remember those guilty moments because you remember that a lot of people remember that the last moment they had was when they yelled at their parents or something like that. And like we want to remember a happy memory and stuff. So I want to read another topic about this, and this one's really important because we just forget about it all the time, and we don't really realize it's a greater sin. So I want to read it. And the thing that's like a greater sin that I want to read is the permission of the parents is necessary. The Islamic Shariat has prescribed certain matters wherein it is necessary to obtain the permission of both the parents, or at least one of them. For example, the wajib kifai acts like jihad or the oath, vow, and promises. In all such cases, it is wajib to obtain the parents' permission. The first merchant had mentioned 10 topics on the rights of parents in his book, Qawaid. It will be appropriate to mention them. And what I want to say is, like, whenever we just, like, feel like doing something, we don't ask our parents. Like, if you want to go outside in your yard or something, you just go. And that can, like, create a huge problem. Your parent might think they're missing or something, and that just creates a huge problem. And you need the permission to, your parents need to make sure you're safe, and if you don't tell them what you're doing, then it's a greater sin also, and you get lots of guna, and also it's bad for your safety. And do you have anything to say? Or
Oh, yeah, I had a story that's regarding this disobedience to the parents. So one time, during the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
Allahumma
Allahumma salli
salli
ala
ala
Muhammad wa
Muhammad.
ala Muhammad. So there was this young man, and he was on his deathbed. He was very sick, and it's really natural to like read for a person to read the kalima before they die. So when at their point of like the point before they die to read the kalima. So this man, he tried, but he couldn't say the kalima. And so his family and friends, they were kind of concerned because it's important to say the kalima before a person dies. So they went to the Prophet, and they told the Prophet about the situation. And so the Prophet said that, is this man's mother alive? And so they said yes. And so the Prophet he ordered for this mother to come, but the people said that this mother lived somewhere else, so she didn't live with this man. And so the mother was brought to the place, and so the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he asked the mother, has your son ever disobeyed you? And so this woman said, he was very bad to me, and he hasn't talked to me for 6 years. And the Prophet was surprised. And so what happened was he asked this woman, can you forgive your son? And so she said, no, he's done so much bad to me, I can't forgive him. And so what happened was the Prophet ordered people to get the logs and the woods to put together. And so the people, one by one, they came together and put the logs together, and they set it on fire. And this woman was so surprised. And because these people, the Prophet ordered these people to take the young man to the fire. And so while they were literally dragging him towards the fire, the woman stopped him. She screamed. She said, no, please don't do this. It's going to hurt him. So then the Prophet said, this is what's going to happen to your son if you don't forgive him. And so she finally forgave her son, and then he could recite the kalima. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So from this incident that actually happened in history, we can see that it's very, very important to keep good relations with our parents and to avoid conflicts and to obey them, because we don't want to be caught in such a situation, and we want to respect them at all times, so they're willingly forgiving us instead of saying no, because it's kind of surprising that this mother didn't forgive at the moment, and it was for a good reason, because this son, he really disobeyed her.
Yeah, and like it happens a lot, and the parents don't realize that they didn't forgive them, but like they then whenever like their child dies, they're scared that like if their child dies early and they didn't forgive him when he was alive, they're scared that, oh, this is gonna happen, I should have forgave him, and they start crying, and it just creates a big problem with them, and they feel guilty. And so I also wanted to say our questions our viewers can answer. You can call if and but I just found out from control room that there's no number on the screen, so if it comes, you can call and answer the question. While the time passes, I also wanted to read Respect for Parents, and as it is wajib to fulfill the rights of parents, it is also necessary to give them due respect and honor. Numerous traditions have been recorded from the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. One must not address the parents by their names. However, they can be addressed by their title or kunyat. So like you can't like your parents' name, their like name, you can't call them that or do that even if you're joking. It's still a greater sin. But if they have like a title, like titles meaning like mom, dad, or something like that, then you can address them by that. 2. One must not precede them while walking, nor should one sit down before them. So like when you're walking, you know when you get tired and then your parents are tired as well when you're all walking, right? So then you can't like sit down before them. You have to offer them to sit before you, because it's like a greater sin and it's due to respect to your parents. And while having meals, one should not begin before the parents. You have to like wait before your parents come, because it's like respecting your parents, because they made the meal. Sometimes they do, and they made it, and so you need to offer them because they do hard work for you and they take care of you. One must never sit with one's back to our parents in a gathering. So you can't like have your back towards them, like always turn around towards them and like just ignore them. While speaking, one's voice should not rise the voice of one's parents. And this is number 5. This one is like happening a lot. Like we yell at our parents, and what it's saying is that we can't yell at them because it's a gunai kabira, and like when we yell at them, it's not respectful, and like we also have learned to respect our elders, and yelling is just like one of the biggest things that you have to not do. One should not do anything that would cause the parents to become a butt of criticism. We must not insult the parents of others, or they would insult our parents in retaliation. So I want to go back to something, because yesterday I watched where this girl, her father was blind, deaf, and she got insulted at school because of that, and her father couldn't understand her because he was deaf, and she got really mad that she had killed herself, and her father he was crying, and then she went to the hospital, and he had started draining his blood to her to save her, and it was sad. So this is the 7th one. Hazrat Sajjad alayhi salam saw a young man walking on the street with the support of his father's hand. He was much displeased and did not even see. The reason why he didn't really speak to it, because like he saw a young man walking on the street with the support of his father's hand. He was much displeased and did not even speak to the boy again. And that story I have never heard, but like I think he didn't talk to the boy again because like his father is older than him, and like he was using the help of his dad when I think he could walk goodly, and he just like used all the weight on his dad's hand for some reason. It is unanimous opinion of the jurists that a son of parents means refraining from everything that displeases them. The following actions are considered disrespectful: not providing them with the necessities, thus compelling them to beg for them; not inviting them to a function where others have been invited; not getting presents from them from a place where one had been to on a journey. All the above acts are haram. In addition, the jurists also consider the following actions haram: to turn away from the parents with disdain, to sit with one's back towards the parents, to speak in a voice louder than the parents, walking ahead of the parents. If any of them do not cause disrespect or displeasure, they are allowed. However, to refrain from them is mustahab. And what this has taught us is, like, we have to give our parents respect for all they've done for us. And a lot of people must be watching this and just normally watching it, and they just might be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that, but then in the end, they didn't really do anything, and they didn't really do anything, and that's not, like, and what's also important is, like, when you don't have parents, when you're like an orphan or something, then you know the importance of parents, and you can feel it. But I want to ask you, like, do you have anything you want to say if, like, somebody doesn't have any parents, or anything you want to say?
So like I was saying before, that if someone doesn't have parents, then they're like missing out on the great opportunity to be taken care of, because we should see that our parents do so much for us, and the people who don't have parents, they may have someone else to take care of them, but they don't have that guardian doesn't have the same, they don't share the same love with the person as a parent would. And we should be very, very thankful that we have parents. We should be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should pray for our parents, and we should give them the most respect, therefore not disobeying them.
So do you have any last thing you want to share or read?
Oh yeah, I had a hadith from the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So he says, one who displeases the parents, it is as if he has displeased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One who angers both his parents, it is as if he has angered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as you can see that God gave parents such a great position, and because if we displease our parents, or if we anger our parents, if we're doing the same to God, then God has given us so much, so it's kind of like an analogy, and we should really respect our parents because it is a gift from God.
Yeah, and thank you, viewers, for watching our program today about disobedience of parents. And I would ask control. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا.
اللهم صل على
محمد وعلى محمد.
خداحافظ viewers.